Hello, everyone. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen, and I want to welcome you to a special episode of the Be the Ultimate Assistant podcast with Bonnie and Vickie. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we recorded a series of webinars to address the burning issues impacting our global audience. So here we go.
Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. It's Speed Mentoring with Bonnie and Vickie. I am Vickie Sokol-Evans. I am here in Austin, Texas.
And I am Bonnie Low-Kramen, coming to you from Jacksonville, Florida. For those of you who don't know Vickie and me, for 25 years I worked for the Oscar-winning actress Olympia Dukakis. And I wrote the book, Be the Ultimate Assistant. And for the last 9 years, I've been traveling the world speaking and teaching assistants and their leaders about how to do this partnership better, easier, faster. And I often do that with this amazing lady, Vickie Sokol-Evans. Vickie is a former assistant herself. She is the trainer to Bill Gates' team. So really, this is a person who I deeply respect and admire as someone who knows pretty much everything, most everything about productivity and technology. And she wrote this amazing book that our students just love. So I'm so honored to be on this call with you today. Vickie, take it away.
Likewise, Bon, thank you so much. And I just have to say a few words about you. I mean, one of the reasons why we started working together 10 years ago is I know that many of you have spoken one-on-one with Bonnie or have emailed her, and you will attest to the fact that Bonnie truly cares about each and every person that she interacts with, and she has this amazing curiosity about people. And I think that her life's why is, and her purpose is to mentor every single person on this planet. And since she can't do it, this is one of the reasons why we're getting together. And I am so fortunate to call her my mentor and to be working with side by side with her. I don't know how I wouldn't be able to get through this without her. So let me tell you what speed mentoring is. And what happened. So this week, Bonnie came up to, we've been talking every single day. As I imagine you are all talking with each other every single day, the people that are closest to you. And, you know, for us as trainers, all we want to do is support you. How can we help? How can we give you a virtual hug? What can we do? And one of the questions or ideas Bonnie had is, why don't we have a speed mentoring session like I do at these conferences? And so what Bonnie does is when she's at any conference, she always and generously offers to have a separate table for anyone who wants to sit at her table and have a speed mentoring round. And what does that mean? Well, for 1 hour, everyone gathers around, and each person, if they're interested, can pose a question to the group, because in her mind, and I'm sure you all agree, that 10 minds are better than one. A group mind and working together is better than working alone. So that's the goal of the speed mentoring, and it's to solve as many problems as possible, because you don't know who is across the table from you that has the answer. And so Bonnie said, like, what if we have a virtual version of this to bring as many people as possible to see what are you thinking, what questions you have, what concerns, what challenges are you facing, and all of us collectively could solve the group's problems. And that's our goal. It's a hefty goal because we didn't anticipate how many questions. My jaw dropped, and Bonnie was shocked that I was shocked at how many questions came through. We had over 800 registrations for today's session, and 50% of those submitted at least one question or comment. Some people submitted something such, I don't really know what my question is now, but I want to know what people are thinking. And so my assistant, Colleen, created this amazing kind of word art, and it's showing you the biggest words are the words most frequently used in the questions submitted. So you can see stay, can, office, will, keep, work from home, job, staying, boss, feel, company, you could see the most popular word. So let me kind of set expectations how this will work. What we're going to do is, well, what Colleen did, my assistant, my amazing assistant did, is she immediately attacked all the questions, and that sounds very violent, but she was like already in it, and she was categorizing each of the questions to determine which one's a soft skills question, career question versus a tech question, and then we prioritize them. And there's no way we can get to every single one, but we're going to try to kind of bucketize this and have groups of questions answered. And then we're also going to get responses from you, because again, we're not the only ones with answers. You all have answers that you can share with everybody. So Bonnie and I will each take turns. So we'll have 2 turns each. Bonnie's going to go first, then I will go, and then Bonnie will go again, and then I'll go again, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. Now, Colleen is, she is another tech trainer just like me on my team. So she's handling the Q&A portion of the screen. As you imagine, if we have 800 people on the call, there's going to be a lot of interaction on the Q&A piece. So you guys could submit questions to the Q&A, but what we're going to try to do is organize them because it will be really difficult to find your question in a sea of questions. So if you have a question for Bonnie that you want answered or addressed at the end of the session, then put a BQ, Bonnie question, before you type out your question. So you're going to type BQ, and then whatever your question is, and be as clear as possible so that we can then just read your question. We're not going to say anyone's name. Everything is private, and so it's all confidential. If you have a question for me, VQ, V for Vickie. And if you're responding to our questions, because we are going to ask you, we'd like to know from you, as everyone on the call, the listening and attending live, is what are your ideas for staying connected, working remotely? And so if Bonnie is posing a question to all of you and she's interested in your response, put BR, it's a response from Bonnie's question, or VR when it's a response from my question. That way, Colleen can then sort on the Q&A panel that she has behind the scenes. So we ask you to do that. That will definitely help us. And then for new questions, if you want something, if something comes up and you want us to address it in the next version of this, we're thinking we may have to have multiple editions or sessions like this, then definitely type NQ. But when you register for the next session, you'll also be able to add a new question. Okay, so we hopefully that will help us. If it doesn't have any of these prefixes at the beginning, we probably won't read them until after the webinar. We are going to read every single question, and we'll even have a document a nicely formatted document that will help give you the answers you need. Just quickly, briefly, we're just so grateful for our team who's been working around the clock to help us get this done. As I mentioned, Colleen is in Columbus, Ohio. She's on my team. Jen Wilner is on Bonnie's team as Bonnie's assistant. She is in Edison, and she's actually kind of broadcasting this live on Facebook for a few minutes. So she's doing that, and she'll join us later. And of course, Bonnie's partner, Robert Sanders, they're with Bonnie in Jacksonville, who is all things tech. Yay! Yeah.
Jonathan.
These are our lifesavers. So, okay. So now, Bon, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to mute my mic so that it is all you. And yes, okay.
I want to welcome all of you to this webinar. On the registration list, we see friends and colleagues from all over the world, and you are amazing. Many of you, Vickie and I know, and many of you we don't. The main thing that this webinar proves is that even if you are working alone in your home or whatever space you've chosen to hunker down, secure in place, that you're not alone. That you're not alone. Right now, we're up to over 600 people on this call, and these are people who genuinely care. That is absolutely important for you to know. This virus that is affecting the whole world right now is challenging us as humans in ways that we haven't ever dealt with before. And so just the newness of it and how fast it happened is scary. So I think it's important for us to just own those feelings briefly, that just to say them out loud, that we've seen so clearly in the questions. Feelings of isolation and disorientation, and it's so disconcerting, mainly because we've never done this before. This is something really new that, humans don't really like change anyway, but to have something happen so fast and so negative, of course it's scary. And so those feelings are absolutely normal. Many of us on this call, most of us remember living through 9/11 back in 2001, and that changed us forever. And then we got to 2008, and most of us remember living through the financial crisis then and how that disrupted the workplace amazingly and profoundly. The thing to notice about both of those events is that we lived through them. We survived it. We're still here. We're on this call. Now, we may be a little battered and bruised, but we're here. What I remember distinctly, and I was one of them, is that the assistance of the world rose to the occasion, just as you're rising to the occasion now. And you did then what you are doing now, and it's what you do really well, which is to solve problems. You figure it out. You get it done. You do whatever it takes to get the job done. And you do it in creative ways, and you may have to go around and you may have to try one thing and then vary it up, but you got it done. We're being tested again right now, and we're being tested big time, and that's why you're all here on the call. Before we jump into the questions, I want to ask you to do something. If you are not driving, and you have a piece of paper, I'd like you to take your pen and I'd like you to simply sign your name. Just sign your signature the way you always would. Okay? No trick questions here. It's just simple. But now what I want you to do is put the pen in the other hand and do the same thing. I can hear the virtual laughing. Put the pen in the other hand and do the same thing. Now, what is important to know about this exercise is that, if you're like most of our students, when you write with the hand you don't write with, it feels uncomfortable and awkward and really out of your comfort zone. And that's the situation we're in. That when you're writing with the hand you always write with, those are the things that you're great at. So you know how to manage your executive, you know how to put that document together, you have it together. But when you write with the other hand, it's those new things. And most people would say that, to what would it take to get good at writing with the other hand would be practice and time. And that's what it's going to take now. So as we move through the questions, it is important that you keep in mind those things that you're great at and the things that you're just going to need a little bit of practice for and some time. There's never been a more important time for you to leverage your strengths, for you to really spend some time thinking about the things that feel like you're writing with the hand you always write with, the things that you know how to do. Never been a more important time for you to reveal to your peers, to your executives, what those things are, and to use this time to practice getting better at the things that make you feel like you're writing with that other hand. Because the other thing to notice here is that the same things that are slowing you down are different than the things that are slowing your executive down and the things that are slowing your peers down. It's not the same thing. So really, we have to cut ourselves a break and we have to cut everybody else a break. That this thing has hit us hard and very fast. So we're going to get through this thing together. We're going to stay calm and then we're gonna get through the mess. And what I love about the messes aren't really that scary most of the time because assistants happen to be really great at cleaning up messes. So with that, Vickie, can you take us into some polls? Before we do that, yes, we're going to address some of the questions, the massive amount of questions that we received from you, but we're also going to focus on the facts. It's, you're in the facts business. One of the reasons this whole situation is so scary is because you are the go-to people for the facts. And these are 4 excellent locations to get up-to-the-minute data for what's going on right now. So Vic, with that, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bon. So we're getting reports that the webinar is frozen. I am good on my end. If you can hear me and you can see the facts slide, you can see the need the facts, you see the World Health Organization. Can you raise your hand if you can hear Bonnie and me okay, and you see the need the facts slide? Bon, you can hear me okay, yeah?
I can, yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay, sound is cut off. I can't see the facts slide. Let me go to the, I'm looking at the audience view. I'm not frozen, so Kimberly, okay. If you can hear me and for some reason something is frozen, my suggestion is to get out of this session and get back in. The problem is everyone in the world is using GoToWebinar, they're using Teams. This is real life. This is what's happening in companies doing their virtual meetings because everyone is using these resources. Somebody had asked about being on video, does it help or hurt bandwidth? Being on video hurts bandwidth. You want to minimize any additional things that take up resources in your meeting. So see the fact slide and see the fact slide. So I'm going to move over to the polling slide real quick. Yeah, each location bandwidth may be an issue. Close other devices. Like, yes, if you have like people on, your kids are on video games, things like that, like Xbox, that's going to be an issue. So we'll have the recording. The recording should be fine. So if you have connection issues or if there's a delay, close out, come back in. And if you're still having trouble, then we'll be posting the replay for you anyway. So we definitely want to keep going so the majority can see everything. We're going to start with the About You slide. So we're going to share some polls. We are so curious. You know about us. We know what's going on. We want to know about you. The first slide, the first poll, you're just going to click the screen and tell us what your stress level is right now.
10 is the most.
Yes, from 1 to 10. So scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, what is your stress level? Mine is up there. Mine's like 8, 9, 10, depends on what hour. You asked me. How about you, Bon?
Oh, mine's riding at about a 6.5.
Okay, good, which looks like the majority is. So we've got 70% voted. And you can just touch the screen, whether you're using your device, your phone, or your laptop. Just touch the screen and it'll tell you. You can. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that because we've got several other reports. I'm going to close the poll and share the results so you can all see.
Oh, okay.
And I think that it probably differs based on what's happening at home too. If you have friends or family dealing with stuff, if you have little babies, you can't find diapers, the stress level's going to be high. So that's good news. Okay. Good, Bon?
Yeah.
Can I go to the next one?
Yeah,
okay.
This is very interesting. I'm happy it's not higher, but good,
yeah.
Great.
Good. I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll for the next one is, do you currently have the virus? We know someone close to us that has it. Oh,
Sure
people
do.
are saying yes. 6%
Yeah, I
voted.
mean, it doesn't get any realer. Doesn't get much realer than this.
Almost 50% voted. Just yes, no. Do you have the virus, the coronavirus? 76% voted. Just a few more seconds. Okay, now it's 0% yes. So maybe whoever answered yes did not mean to answer yes. Let me go ahead and close and share.
Okay.
Right. If you haven't been tested, like this assumes that, you know, if you've been tested and you have it, yes. But no means like I haven't been tested or anything like that. Good. Okay. That's
right.
good.
Okay.
Let's hide that. Do you know someone? Do you have a family or friend, a family member or friend that has it? Do you know someone personally? Personally know someone that has it? Oh, interesting. I'm glad you asked this question, Bob.
Yeah, we're trying to get a sense of.
Bon, can you turn off your webcam for me?
Turn it off, right?
Turn it off, yes. Please.
It's off. It's off.
Cool, thanks. Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, we really wanted to understand of the people on the call, what else are you dealing with? Clearly, there are a lot of work issues that you're dealing with, but, you know, this is the cause of what's happening right now. So let's understand, what else are you facing?
Some people are saying, you know, there should have been an answer because I don't know because there are no tests in their area.
Right.
So,
but yet, even so, 21% personally know somebody who's got it. So, you know, let's hope these numbers stay steady or down. But the news essentially is that we're going to see it rise some before it gets better.
Okay, I've got two more polls. One, what is your role? Are you an assistant? Do you manage other assistants? Are you a leader that has an assistant? Are you an HR recruiter? So Christy's saying hardly anyone in Iowa is being tested.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing, is that there's still a real lack of tests. And so if anybody can find out about how to get tests, it's assistants.
Here's someone
kind of
comment. Just learned about the passing of my passing cousin of my brother-in-law here in New York, a young professional living in New York City that had asthma. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, makes my heart. Okay, 82% voted. I'm going to go ahead and close the results here and then share them out, or close the poll and share them out.
Okay.
The reason why we invited executives and HR professionals, recruiters, because it's important for them to see the types of questions that you guys are posing, and you know, the concerns that you have, and that you're available for work. Some of the questions came in like, I have nothing to do now. So yeah. All right, one more question is about the job market.
Yeah, let's see what's going on.
One of my executives is really sure she has it, and her doctor believes so too, but cannot get tested. Thankfully, I haven't been in contact with her for 13 days. Okay, good.
Right.
limited supplies. Oh, wow.
So part of what we want to do on this webinar is to share information about jobs, and we're going to tell you how to do that because we know that some companies are hiring right now, and there's no reason why we can't share that kind of information here. Where the main purpose is to get people the information that they're yearning to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are responding. They do know of job openings for assistants. So,
fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, let me go ahead. Only 70% has voted, but we need to move on. So I'll assume this is a good representation of what you guys have. I'm going to go ahead and hit share.
Okay, right. 60% not sure what's happening. Okay, and of course you'll get these results in the replay. And we are going to have we're going to go till 1:30 Eastern time. But for those who may have to jump off, I just want to say that if you are a person who knows a job opening in your company, in your city, what Vickie and I are going to ask you to do is to post that on LinkedIn and to tag both she and I so we can then share it out to our communities. And so say the company, say the kinds of openings, and say the city for sure. And then if people can contact you, that'd be a real help to those people who, at this moment may be fine, but none of us knows what next week is going to bring or next month. Okay, so we're going to move on to speed mentoring. Here's the way it's going to go. This section has 4 topics. We grouped the questions in categories. So this is a sampling of what we received about shifting sands and this uncertainty, the fighting, the fears that are impacting all of you. Questions like, how do I emotionally handle so much uncertainty? I worry about losing my job. I don't like being cut off from daily interaction. It's a big concern when you live alone. And then I have trouble staying focused on any one thing. I feel really distracted and I don't know what to do. So, part of that whole notion of uncertainty and fear and feeling frightened, it's only been a few days. We got here so fast. So I would urge you to kind of slow it down and give yourself a chance to breathe and think and do the things that you do well. To think about the things you can control versus the things you can't control. I would urge you to, really decide how much news to watch, to catch up on each day, but then to kind of shut it down so that you don't have that kind of input. Everybody handles stress differently. I joke to my students that they get to benefit from my thousands of dollars of therapy. And that's one thing I know for sure is that, and I'm talking to our students all over the world, is that people handle stress differently. And some want to talk a lot and others want to isolate and draw in. So mental health is going to become a very important issue in this problem, I believe, because it is so widespread. I mean, it is simply worldwide. The thing that assistants do so well is to take a look at a big situation that has a lot of pieces and parts and to bring order to the chaos. And that's what I'm urging you to do, to get some semblance of control in this situation, to control the things that you can control. Things like your space, your physical space. One company in New York City has given their employees all $500 each to spend the way they want to spend it on a new chair, a desk, a better phone, whatever it is, the leeway to do that, to make yourself physically comfortable only you know if meditation would help you, if talking to your best friend would help you. Certainly the data shows that exercise is useful for anxiety control and stress control. So at this point, feel free to enter into the chat box your own suggestions for this community of how you're managing your stress. How are you grabbing a hold of this and that isolation, where thankfully if you have an internet connection and great whether it's Netflix or movies, there are ways to escape, right? So Colleen is going to manage that, some of the responses that we get to help each other. That's what happens at the speed mentoring table, is to share how others do it. For me, I like watching stand-up comedy. That helps. I think of it as taking my brain somewhere else for a little while. I also like, to choose to, what am I grateful for? What do I have a lot to be grateful for? I still have a place to sleep and to eat, and still have, food in the refrigerator, basic creature comforts. So I don't know, Colleen, if we have some responses from our listeners, but how are people managing stress? One thing we can take, Vic, did you have something? Or Colleen?
Sorry, I was just going to say that we have a lot of people who have some great hobbies, everything from cleaning to baking, doing puzzles, some recommendations for the Daily Calm app, a house party app, all kinds of fun technology options.
Fantastic. It's about setting yourself up for success and, judging on every day, how ambitious do you want to be? To take control of your 24 hours in a day. And, you've been thrown into a new situation. So just to cut yourself a break and be kind to yourself. So one of the things you can control is, choosing to, make some new recipes, or choose to get as healthy as you possibly can. Because what we're seeing with this virus is that, it seems that the healthier a person is, the better ability we have to fight it. So great suggestions. Love that. And unfortunately, we've got a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to add
What's that?
The recommendations are still coming in. So what we'll do is we'll compile these ideas and make sure everyone gets access to them, and we'll protect everyone's privacy. But there's some really great ideas. My struggle is like I'm catching up on a lot of things, but I need to make sure that I start and stop at a regular time, because I will sit there and watch Homeland for 8 hours if I don't watch myself. So that I make sure there's, when I wrote my book, it was from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. and there's a start and end time, and then that way you can go on to the next scheduled thing. So while this seems like a vacation, be careful not to overindulge in one thing, so that you can have consistency.
Right. I've been working at home since 2011, and Vickie, you've been working at home since when?
2009. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've been doing this a while, and still it's a challenge. But there's a thing called time blocking, and this is now playing to your strengths as assistant. So we're going to move on to the next one, because we're running a little bit behind. Communication with executives and companies. This was a very a lot of responses on this particular issue. Questions like, get this, how to gain the trust of your supervisor who detests that you're working at home. Or, I feel like I'm running blind while my CEO works with his executive team. How can I keep my status as a critical resource to my leaders? And also, my executive is terrible at communicating, and even more so now. How do I help him communicate more and efficiently given this situation? So there are lots of ways to address this, but here's the thing, folks, that, everybody is in this critical situation, not only assistants, but leaders too. One of our colleagues, Laura Belgrado, who welcomed me to say her name and urged you to link in with her, she told me a story just a couple of days ago, how her executive lives in Spain, and you probably all have heard what's gone on in Spain, and he and his family were in New York City. She got wind that they were going to cancel the flights for Spain, and he and the family were supposed to leave for Spain from New York City, but 2 days from the time she made this call, she called him at 2 a.m, and she heard from her contact in the travel business that they were going to be shutting down flights to Spain. She called her executive at 2 a.m. his time in New York and said, "Don't ask me any questions, but you and the family are getting on a flight tomorrow, not 2 days from now. And it's very important that you do this. It's all the information is in your email. Just check it out and do what I'm telling you to do." He said, "Okay, fine." And he hung up the phone. And that is an example of the way it should work, not the way it always works. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest on this call, and he happens to be a real friend of Vickie and me and be the ultimate assistant. He is a CEO, and Vickie and I have asked Gary Rabine, if his connection is still working, to comment on this from a CEO's point of view. Gary, can you give us a couple minutes on what you think about the problems that assistants are now experiencing with this working remotely?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, you got me. All right. Yeah, so you know what, I think for us, I've got an amazing assistant in Debbie that really kind of takes the bull by the horns and helps us with the right using the right tools and all that kind of stuff, along with our leadership team and how we communicate better. I think it's the new school leaders that Debbie deals with and I deal with that have got it all handled, and they love that they embrace this. The old school leaders like myself are a little awkward with it. So I think for Debbie, it's her and a couple others on our team that help us all get better at using it. And I think that's been key. And I see the opportunities in this time that Debbie thinks along with me on, hey, what do we do? What do we do next? What do we do to be ready for this next time? Because here are the things that we're finding there's opportunities in our industry and that customers are calling more for now. And how do we next time how are we ready next time for this? And what do we do to grow our products and our services in the space that has demand still? So yeah, I think there's an opportunity right now for our assistants to really think just like us as executives, and how do we strengthen through this grit? How do we strengthen our businesses? And there's nobody that I trust more than Debbie, my assistant, to speak up and inform me and our leadership team on what her thoughts are while she's investigating this stuff. So I think the opportunities right now are huge to really understand what businesses and what industries that we're in, let's say, have opportunities that we didn't know about that we're seeing now. And maybe there's some businesses outside our industries that we should be investing in, depending on the type of businesses that these executives are overseeing, right?
Gary, thank you so much, and I hope that you and Deb can stay with us for the rest of the call. That was so valuable, as it always is when we talk with you, because what I heard you saying is that you want Debbie to speak up and tell you what she's seeing, because in this situation, assistants are seeing and hearing different things and their leaders are seeing. I think it's fair to say that as fearful and as anxiety provoking as the situation is for assistants, it's also the same for leaders. They too are being thrown into a new situation. So now is a great time to do what Gary is saying, and to, if you have an idea, if you see something that you know your leaders need to know or to see or to think about, please speak up. This is, for those of you who've heard me before, my mantra is speak up, find your voice, and say the wonderful things that you see, because people say say things to assistants that they would never say to their leaders. And so now would be the time to say what you know. The other, and please, in the chat box, if you can insert your responses and or your ideas for keeping this communication going, and I'll just keep talking as Colleen. I hope you'll just keep a look here. It really moved me because I've heard from many assistants whose executives are not happy that they're working at home. And it's important in my view, to address the elephant in the room, to get on a Zoom call so you're actually looking at each other. That really is best, rather than a phone call. And, address it directly and ask the question, what are you worried about? Am I hearing that you're worried that I'm not going to be getting done the work you need to get done? Tell me, I really would like you to tell me what you're worried about, and I'm going to do everything in my power to alleviate that fear. Because this is really, a lot of these behaviors are all about fear. Colleen, do we have some interesting feedback, responses?
They are trickling in slowly. Someone says that they have a WhatsApp group with their execs so that they can keep in contact. They do video calls, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, daily phone calls. Yeah.
Well, at another company in New York City, I heard that the CEO and the upper leadership team all created short videos. And, when this crisis was first hitting, and every other day now, the staff who are all working at home are getting videos from the leadership team to keep them in the loop about what's happening. That's so much of what I'm hearing, is that assistants feel like they're not up to speed on what's going on, and that's adding to the fear. So if leaders could catch on to that, to know that actually the assistants, you actually could be contributing to the conversation as you're hearing from other assistants on calls like this one. It's vital to stay connected, and the smartest leaders are the ones who are doing what Gary and Deb do. So I'm going to move on because there's so much to say about all this. Staying connected and mentoring. We've had a lot of calls about this, a lot of questions like, I'm a new manager to an administrative team. I need tips on how to manage them remotely and how to stay on top of tasks. Each person on your team, whether it's a team of 3 or a team of 20 or more, I always think back to what Olympia Dukakis would say over the years we worked together, which was, Bonnie, you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you do need to know who the experts are to go to get the answers we need fast. And she's right. Yeah, we cannot, none of us on this call can be an expert in everything. So that makes the case that we need to fully leverage the team around us. And teams are doing it in all kinds of ways now that you are thrown into this situation and working remotely. You could be creating your own groups and asking for mentorship. For those of you who read my letter and I told the story about the woman I called Anne, she just went ahead and asked a person who she'd been thinking about to be her mentor. And here's the thing, we can be mentors we ourselves can be mentors to others, and other people can be mentors to us. It really is about asking. For those of you, and I'm a parent, for those of you who are parents, we mentor our kids and everything. But in this situation and in the work situation, we can't mentor others in everything. But we certainly can mentor others in the things that we're a SME in. I'm sure many of you know that acronym, SME, S-M-E, subject matter expertise. And we often don't even fully know the subject matter expertise of our colleagues. But in this situation, we need to know. We need to know what people are good at. And it's certainly a way to build team. One of the questions that came in about mentorship, those who know me, I'm a huge fan of mentorship. And feel free to be commenting in the chat box as you're hearing me speak about mentoring and staying connected with your team, with your SMEs, is that we need to continue the conversation with each other and to be vulnerable enough to share what it is we need help in. And that's something, given a profession that's 95 to 98% female, that we're not particularly practiced at. But it makes so much sense. Oh, and I was telling you that one of the people who's on this call is specifically asking for a mentor, a buddy on the subject of Microsoft Teams. And so many of you have that. So if any of you are willing to be a mentor to somebody on that particular subject, Vickie's going to be talking about Teams in a moment. But feel free to email me or put it in the chat box and we'll capture it. I'm going to go on to the next one, and then we can get a few comments about staying engaged with the team. And there's a website called teambuilding.com. The question was, do you know of any team building activities that we can do over Zoom for our team? So the answer is yes. One of our students says that they take turns. Everybody on the team takes a half an hour a day to organize something fun for the rest of the group. And sometimes it's not every day, but they assign people. It's not only on one person. And one particular day, they shared baby pictures with each other. And sometimes it doesn't even go 30 minutes, but they take turns. And this is how they keep the team engaged and morale higher. Colleen, do we have any comments on this before we move on to Miss Vickie?
We have some people doing virtual happy hours, weekly videos from the leadership team. Not too many other responses yet.
Right. I mean, we're in the baby stages here, folks, but it'd be great for you to create groups of your own to keep it simple at the beginning and just simply connect, because everybody is a subject matter expert on many things, not just one. Vic, it's all yours.
Okay. Thank you, Bon. And I just saw several of you are posting questions like, hey, we can't see everyone's response. Unfortunately, GoToWebinar doesn't have that capability of sharing out the responses that you are submitting to us. So again, we'll compile all of this into a nice fancy document and then give you guys access to that. We'll protect everyone's privacy so you won't know who submitted the idea. But some really great ideas are coming through here. So thank you for that. Thank you, Bon, for getting us through the first mentoring round. I do have some questions for everyone from the tech perspective. Let me go ahead and share out the first. I have two polls. I definitely want to know what computer you're using while you're working from home. I think you will. I asked this during this week's webinar with my class. I did an Office 365 working from home class on Tuesday, and I asked the same question, and I think you'll all be enlightened to see what devices people are working on or are issued to employees or assistants that are working from home. So there's a poll on your screen. You should be able just to click the screen and tell me exactly what you're using at work. So hopefully the ideal situation would be your company has issued a laptop for you to use for your work, and then you have a personal laptop. And I highly recommend you always only work on your work laptop for business purposes, and you keep them both separate to not make them sticky, not make the situation sticky. And I'm going to go ahead 64%. So if you are responding to this, go ahead and respond on your screen. Just click the screen and tell me which computer you're using. So I'll get it to 70% in just a second. We'll close. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and then share out the results so you all can see the interesting information about, if I can make this bigger for myself. So thankfully, the majority of you are on a company laptop. I'm curious about the people who are on virtual laptops. If you'll do a VR virtual response in the Q&A, tell me why you're using your personal laptop. Like why don't you have, is it because you have a desktop at the office and you were just told to stay home and now all you have is your personal laptop? Is that why? All right, let me go to the next poll. 85% of you. And I'm curious about what virtual platform you're using. If you're using Office Teams or G Suite or iCloud. By the way, I use both PC and Mac. So I am a Mac person and I'm a PC person. And I use Office 365. I've been using Office 365 since 2009. And our entire team, our global team, is using Office 365, and there's a mixture of PC and Mac. So it doesn't matter what platform you're using in order to use Office 365, same with G Suite. So let's just get that information. So far, over 80% of you are on 365. I'm curious about the other. If you mentioned other, let me know. But you're probably on a VPN. Oh, for those on other, I bet, yeah. Put VR in your response. Let me know what the other is. You're probably on a desktop with a VPN. You don't have 365, so you have to use a virtual network to get there, which is a lot harder. I see. Okay, so let me go ahead and close that poll and share out the results. Y'all can see. I feel your pain, everybody. I feel it. We're getting tons of questions here, Colleen and I, and so we are here to help. So I am definitely want to show you guys what's happening. So almost 80% on 365, 7% on G Suite, maybe a few of you on the Apple, other, not working. Okay. Perfect. So obviously I can't address every single technology, so I'm going to do the best I can in the time I have. I have only 10 minutes to share with you some of the categories we saw. So the very first thing is like, what are the best tools to use when working from home? And so I'm going to talk about Office 365, and I'm actually going to go to a slide that shows you working from home. So I have an article. In fact, we'll share out the article on LinkedIn, and I create an article that says, are you work from home ready? And in it, it talks about all of this, like how to access email, calendar, and contacts, your files, team resources, and how to communicate virtually. So you should be able, using Office 365, you'll be able to use the desktop apps for Outlook, OneDrive, and Teams on your laptop. In the browser, you go to office.com. And I'll show you that in just a second. And then on your mobile device, each one of these applications has a separate mobile app. I have a checklist for you, but first I want to get on to my office.com and show you. So when you log into office.com, I just want to show you what all you have available to you. I imagine at this point, since you've been home probably for a week, you've already done this. But when people say go log into Office 365, you just go to office.com. Go to office.com and here are all the apps you get. FYI, Outlook is split up into several apps. So let me go to all apps here. Oh, you know what? You are still seeing the poll. I'm waiting for it to catch up. There's a little bit of a lag on my end. There we go. Okay, I just went to office.com, and so when you go to office.com, here are all the apps. Number one thing is people are like, well, where's my calendar? How do I see my calendar online? Outlook is just your email. So when you go to all apps, you will see all. So Outlook has been split up into calendar apps, your Outlook email app, and your task app, and your people app. So if you're trying to access, I know there were a couple of questions like I can't access my contacts online. It would be under your people app, and then there's your mail, calendar, and then tasks. So those are the Outlook apps that have been split up into 4 different apps online. Let me go back to this screen because looks like the poll results were still showing, which happens a lot. Sometimes I forget to hide them. So here is an example of Office 365 and what you're able to do working remotely. If you already have Office 365, this is your capability. So you can access your email, calendar, and contacts on your laptop, on your browser, or on a mobile device. And here's the difference between accessing on a laptop or browser. If you have a business laptop, you should have all of these apps already installed. If you don't, I'm going to show you a checklist. I want you to walk through the checklist so you can make sure you have all those downloaded. If you don't have a company-issued laptop because you have an actual desktop, big computer at your office, you are just going to log in on your personal laptop, and you're going to go to office.com, and you're going to use all of those assets, those applications and technology assets in the browser. But you can also work on your mobile device, all of these different apps on your mobile device. So I'm going to give you some resources on this. I need to talk about, the other question was, how do I access files securely and share them? And because some of you have your documents on your desktop, if you have documents on your desktop, you won't be able to share them. So let me give you an idea of the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint and Teams. With your personal files that you have, you're going to store them in your OneDrive for Business, and I'll show you what that is in just a second. So you're going to, any of the documents you work on, they must reside in OneDrive. So if you have documents on your desktop in My Documents, there is a huge risk in it that if something happens at home to your business laptop, there's not anyone that could issue you a new laptop. So one of your homework assignments from this call is to make sure you have no important documents on your desktop. Move all your important documents from desktop and My Documents into your OneDrive. And then for your team documents, like anything that Bonnie and I work on goes into our Teams portal. Even though we have 2 different companies, I'm able to invite Bonnie to the team portal so that if anything ever happens to me, the team has access to these documents. So when you're working in a file, you have to decide, does the team need this file? If the team needs the file, it needs to be stored in a Teams environment. If you're the only person that needs the access to a file, it needs to be stored in OneDrive. When you leave the company, and I don't say that because you're getting let go or anything like that, everyone leaves the company. When you leave the company, your OneDrive goes away. So if there are deliverables and documents you're working on that the team needs access to, be sure that it's saved in a Teams environment. I just wanted to make sure that that was understood. And the back end to all of this is SharePoint. Are you work from home ready? So there are 3 resources, and we'll make sure you get access to all of these. When you go to my LinkedIn page, which is linkedin.com/VS Evans, look for my articles, and there's an article that says, are you LinkedIn ready? When you look at that article, you can assess yourself. I think I already have it here. You're going to assess yourself, like, can I access my email from my laptop, my browser, and my mobile device? Can you access your files on your OneDrive? Can you access on your laptop, browser, and mobile device? Access your files on Teams on your laptop, browser, and mobile device. So this is kind of an assessment tool. If you cannot, if you don't know what I'm talking about here is a quick free resource. Here's your checklist. You click on that, goes to my website, put your name and email in, and it's a checklist. You can check to see if you're work from home ready. And then we also have a virtual class that's happening right now. So I'll tell you about that, and I'll tell you about that in here. So you're going to look at the article. If that is not sufficient, download the readiness checklist, which I have included in this session. So if you look at the handouts area, you can actually download this PDF right now without having to go to my website. So download that. I want you to walk through it and check off each one. Can you do it? Yes, check it off. If not, then you may need to work with me in a 2-part virtual class. And it's super low price of $29. If you cannot afford that, then we'll get you a scholarship. So I don't want there to be any barrier to entry for that 2-part virtual course. In fact, I think I'm going to have to add a 3rd module, and anyone in that class can have one-on-one time with me and Colleen to help them get work from home ready. So we have these resources here for you. So let me go back to my slide to show you where I am. If you have questions or responses for me, just say VR. And Colleen, are there any responses or questions just based on that part of it before I go to communication?
No real questions. People looking for more information about Teams for sure.
Okay. So one of the things that we're going to do is, because we're getting lots of questions over and over and over again, so we're going to be putting on a live, a Tech in 10 live program on YouTube, where we're going to answer as many questions as we can in 10 minutes. And so we'll probably do that once a week. If we need to do it more frequently, we can do that. And so that way you're devoting and just blocking 10 minutes a week just to learn something new each week. We can have it on PC, we can have Mac questions, we can have G Suite questions, whatever questions you have. So we'll be in touch with you about that show completely for free on YouTube. Okay, let me move over to communication and virtual meetings. A lot of it is, how do I communicate with my team? The biggest thing we have, somebody wrote in and said, could you have someone stop replying all? And the inundation of email. I'm sure, like all of us, your email looks like, your inbox looks like this. And I think what people are doing is, this is so unprecedented as far as like the productivity disruption, and then our new level of productivity working in this new work from home environment. We don't really know what the best practices are. And so I think everyone's just kind of reverting to email and emailing. So now we have like all this email, and if you don't care about that, you don't care about other people's email, let me point this out. When you send somebody else an email, your email is somewhere in your colleague's stack of emails. So I want to show you how we can reduce email volume and also get your questions answered quickly. And the way we're going to do that is through relevant communication and using the proper channel. And so number one, here's something that Colleen and I do, and we did this from the very beginning because we work remotely with each other virtually. She's in Ohio, I'm in Texas. We don't ever email each other. There are certain situations where we email each other, but when we communicate, we chat, so that our communication is not going to be buried within all of this other communication within email. So we chat with each other. We use Teams. If you're using G Suite, you would chat through Gmail. So just send a chat. Excuse me. And that way someone can respond much quicker. We also use team discussions. So if it's, hold on one second, I've got a cough. Let me just grab some water. Okay. If we have a piece of communication that our entire team needs, like for instance, we have a team that's focused on the Red Cape Academy. Excuse me, Bonnie just reminds me of Naples when I had that cough in Naples.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Yeah. Take another breath.
I mean, we could switch to me and then come back to you if you want.
Okay, let's see if I can get through this, and if so, we'll go back to you, and then I'll take a break.
Okay.
When we have a piece of communication that needs to be that an entire team needs. So, for instance, our academy, we have a team that manages our academy. We will go to the academy area of our teams and use the discussion and use @mentions within the discussion. We do not email the team in charge of the academy. We don't send an email through Outlook. We use the discussions in here and people are notified. So please, if you have an area for discussions, try to use that as much as possible versus email. Use @mentions. So if I say @Colleen, it will connect Colleen's alias to that particular post. And Colleen will be notified not only within Teams, but also within Outlook, as well as her phone. So she knows that this is relevant to her and she needs to take action on that. Text messaging and WhatsApp is a really good way to communicate quickly. Anytime someone sends me a text message or WhatsApp, I tend to focus and prioritize those messages. So for instance, if you're having a hard time getting a hold of me, send me a chat message or send me a text message, and I'll probably respond faster because it's a channel that is instant. The problem with using text messaging and WhatsApp is that it's now outside of your company's domain and it's not searchable. When you use chat and team discussions within Teams or any type of like Slack, people can search for certain topics. So, and it creates a history. So anyone new to the team can actually search for answers that way. The only time that we email is when we're needing to copy or BCC someone. So for instance, so if Colleen receives an email from a customer or even from Bonnie, and then Colleen responds to that email and she wants to give me visibility, that's when I get an email from Colleen. So it's when you need to you want someone to have visibility in what you're doing, and there's supporting information within that message thread. Please minimize the use of reply all. Like, it's so cute when people say, hey, could you tell the world to stop replying all? I think all of us can agree to that, is that we can hit reply all. And then try to minimize the read receipts. That adds to people's task list and things like that. So try to minimize those resources. So hopefully that helps. I'm getting through this just fine, so I'll keep going. I think that's it. Okay, consider relevance and visibility. So if it's only for one person, try to chat, and I would try to chat within your company's environment. Like if you keep things offline, there's no way to chat. So for instance, if I'm looking, let's say I send Colleen the link to this webinar to post on our LinkedIn channels or whatever, or social media channels. And then during this webinar, she's like, well, where's the link? Where's the link Vickie sent me? She won't be able to search her phone. The best way to do this is to be able to use our company's resources and search within one area, one channel. And then certainly members of the team, keep it relevant to them. So if I'm talking about something about the academy, I'm going to go to that area of Teams in the academy. And if we have time, I'll show it to you guys. I don't think we'll have time for me to show it. But I just wanted to mention those things. And that, I think, communication, cybersecurity, I do want to talk about that, is super important. So, Bon, if you don't mind, if I can keep going and talk about.
Oh, please do, Vic. Please do.
Okay. So this is so relevant. Scammers love crisis and urgency. When we are diverted, when our attention is diverted to regular business, like business as usual, that's when they tend to attack us or try to get us. Bonnie just sent this to me yesterday, that a group of hackers created a website, a malicious website. They sent an email to employees of the organization and did a spoof, and they were hoping that employees would log in to this using a link and then pass on their username and password. This happened just yesterday. let me show you what they're doing, and I'll show you some examples. So here's an example. Here's what to look for if you for phishing, and these are several examples I've received over the past kind of 6 weeks. Here's one I can tell it's phishing because the capitalization is not consistent. So Center Corporate Online Report, eFax message. When I hovered over that in the email, this is what it opened. This is what it showed in the preview. So here's an eFax message. I giggle because they tell me it's from a safe sender. That's hilarious. And then it uses Office 365. So beware, scammers are actually using Office 365 and the branded colors to make you think it's coming from your organization. What you're going to do is you're going to hover over this link, and it's going to show you the website it will take you to if you click that link. Unfortunately, I didn't get the screenshot of what it looked like, but let me show you an example. Here's an email I received at some point. I'm sure you might be getting like, your Amazon package is delayed or your account has been suspended. So there's a sense of urgency. Do not click any links. When you hover over the hyperlink or the button here, you can see, first of all, it says HTTP, doesn't have an S. That's not the tried and true method to confirm whether or not this is spam, because some scammers do have secure websites somehow. So first of all, it doesn't have an S. That's red flag number one. Number two, it's not from Amazon.com. It's from rs6.net. That is the domain. So look for that. This absolutely is a scam. Then here's another one. Diamond Short, you received an eFax message. Weird in here, it's from AOL. And it's not to me, it's to this. And it says, please discover in the attachment, which is a weird saying, with appreciation, B-Bank, Diamond Short. This is obviously scam. So just look out for those things, who it's coming from. When you have a phishing, when you want to report a message, I'm going to show you there's an add-in called Report Message. So I'm going to click on Report Message. So let's say I'm clicking on a message. I think this is a phishing scam. Click on that report message and I say phishing, and then you can report it to Microsoft as a phishing, as a scam, and then hit report. To get the add-on, you're in Outlook. This is going to be one of your homework assignments. You're going to, in Outlook, there's a button that says get add-ins. You're going to search for report message, and then it will be added into your ribbon, and you can then start reporting phishing scams, so that it will also move that message out of your inbox. I just want to show you, my son got his phone stolen at a festival. He's 16, got his phone stolen, got separated from his friends. It was really traumatic for him. We eventually ported his phone number to an older phone, but a week later, the older phone, he received this message. And think about, like, oh, he was so happy to see this. Dear Apple customer, your phone has been found today. So this is like a week later after his phone was lost. View current location. And it says apple.com. So you might get phishing scams on your mobile device. Do not click any links. Don't click any links. First, look at this. See the capitalization? Your phone has been found today. Every word is capitalized. It is not properly, doesn't have a proper punctuation. And the actual domain for this URL is not apple.com. If you look at the last .com, that's the domain, location-es. So just be aware of that. I want to make sure you're all protected on every device now that you're working from home, on your mobile device, on your desktop, as well as your phones, your text messaging. Oh, okay, that's me. Bon, take it on. It's over to you. And if you have questions for me, put VR if you want to respond to anything I said. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant stuff, Vic. Brilliant. Well, we still have over 400 people on the call, so we're going to plow through. We're heading into the final 15, 20 minutes here. The first thing is, now is the time. we had a question that said, what to do with all the downtime I have now and keep myself engaged and busy. And that's a real problem considering, everybody's kind of just finding their footing right now. As Vickie, you said early on, we now have something of a gift of time in a weird, wacky way, right? And one of the things we've done, and feel free to put in the chat box what you're doing to fill this time, but in our classes, I urge all assistants to take a fresh look at how you're operating in your department and in your company, to look for the gaps. And now that you have some time at home, you have an opportunity to just kind of open up a fresh notebook or a folder in OneNote or in Teams, however you process information, and to just allow your brain to open up and discover those gaps, to really give some thought to how can we be ready for the next time. Because the data is showing, the experts are saying that this may be a pretty bad virus right now, but you know what? There could be another one. And, can we be more ready the next time? What could we do better the next time? When you think about these first couple of weeks about what's been going on, I would also urge you to use this time to, make a list of all those projects that you've been meaning to get to that perhaps you can tackle right now in collaboration with your team. Maybe that means really taking a good run at that procedures manual, and make it fun. You could gather on one of those groups we're talking about, and this is a really great opportunity to use your mind in a way that kind of everything is up for grabs right now. It really is how I'm thinking about it. And so if there's been something burning in your gut, in your mind about something that really needs to be fixed when you go back to work, I urge you to put something in writing and, run it by somebody you trust, to see if they agree, and, take a run at it. Vickie and I do this exercise every year. We call it blue sky thinking. And maybe that's appropriate, Vic, in this situation where we urge all of our listeners to really give yourself permission to think about everything, including your own career and your own job description at the moment. Like, really, everything is open at this moment. There's a lot of variables, and times of change and volatility are, as Gary Rabine said, times of opportunity. So it seems like there are a lot of things that could fill 24 hours in a day, including physical well-being, and that old, not so old, but the analogy of putting on your mask on the airplane before you help somebody else, is that you all, the assistants of the world, are very important players. You are the backbone of the company and the right arms to your executives, even if you're doing it virtually right now. I'm going to go on to the last one because it's so important. And Vic?
I mentioned something real quick. Yes, so people have ideas. Like, people are submitting ideas on how they're filling their time, which is awesome. So we'll compile everyone's ideas. And that way everyone can see, like, oh, that's such a good idea. I'll start doing that as well. So
hey, just throw out like 3 of them, Vic.
Yeah. So and just 3 of them. I'm using this time to obtain my IAP OP specialist certification. I'm using my time by taking personal online training like this one. Prepare a presentation for what she learned at the Leader Assistant event. Brushing up my skills, learning on LinkedIn. She's organizing her OneNote, project notebook. So there's lots of awesome ideas. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. And that relates to jobs versus money. Many comments and questions about, I'm concerned if I can find another job if my company shuts down. How do I continue to show my executive my value? And then questions about how long is this going to last? And is this the new normal about how we're working at home? And is this what my job is going to be? You know, the assistants of the world who we meet, their executives, the executives of the world do not want to lose you. You know, I understand there's been a lot of downsizing and layoffs right now. Your job as assistants is to demonstrate your value. So even if they're not coming to you asking for your input, I am telling you that this would be the time to reveal your skills and ideas, and ask to be in on those leadership meetings if it's appropriate for you to be there. Ask to be in on them. And if you feel that your company is not doing a great job of communicating with the rest of the team, I urge you to tell your executives so. That is what an executive business partner does. And I know that the definition will change as we come out of this crisis. But the reality is that there are going to be some assistants who will lose their jobs for a variety of different reasons. And we have people on this call from all over the world. So I urge you, I said this earlier in the call, but if you know of job openings in the assistant world, please post it on LinkedIn, and please tag both Vickie and me so we can share that information out. Be sure to include the city. You know, feel free to include as much information as you feel comfortable sharing, including salary ranges. It is so important because to reveal in writing your value to your company, to not wait till people tap you. That, you know, this is virtual work is throwing everybody into uncertainty. So make it known that you are ready, willing, and able to participate in specific projects. Because this is not the last crisis we're going to have. So, Colleen, any comments on that? As you're getting ready to say something, I posted that article I wrote called "Now's the Time." I just want to say out loud here that, you know, this situation feels something like deja vu to me. There's something very much in common between 9/11 and 2008. It's a lot different, but there's some elements that feel very familiar. And one is that the assistants of the world are all rising to the occasion. And what I'm hoping this time is that we already were in a situation where many assistants in the world were underpaid. So this could be the ideal time to work in collaboration with our leaders and HR and even recruiters to recalibrate the titles for this role, accurate job descriptions for this role that are in writing and up to the minute, and salaries for this role as key players in the organization. Colleen, do you have anything to contribute there from the chat box?
I really like to comment. Somebody said that they are considering this kind of like pushing the reset button and getting back to square one so they can build up and start again.
Yeah, I think there's something very valid about that. And, you know, we had some anxiety in the questions about, you know, assistants who are in their 50s and 60s. And this would be the time to, you know, really take a hard look at the things that make you feel like you're writing with that other hand, technology training that you could use brushing up on. And, you know, Vickie can guide you in a great way about all of those things. You know, virtual learning, there's no reason that if you are motivated that you can't stay relevant and as important to your companies in a month or 2 months as you have been in the past, as it was a month ago or 2 months ago. Anything else?
just a lot of people very grateful for today's webinar.
All right, Vickie, that's the one to you, ma'am.
Yes, I am ready to go. Okay, I do have some input on filling the time. Like Bonnie mentioned, we did get quite a few people going, what do I do now? Some people that don't have enough work. So I'm going to talk about expertise. You're a subject matter expert in something. There are things that you love to do. I love data. I love, I can run reports off of millions of rows of data, and I will do it in a heartbeat. So I want to show you where you can put your expertise in your profile on your Office 365 account, so that if somebody is looking for you in your organization, they can bring you in on a project. I was at a law firm. Let me show you. I'm going to go to office.com. And I was at a law firm, and they needed a Crystal Reports instructor. And because my resume was sitting in the file cabinet, someone in my office, they went out externally and paid a lot of money for Crystal Reports training. Had they gone online, or if my information was online, so watch this. So I'm in the search. Let's say I'm looking for Crystal Reports. I need help with Crystal Reports. Or you could put PowerPoint, or you could put expense reporting, you could put whatever. I'm looking for this expertise, and I hit enter. And the search result says, okay, here are some things, some documents, but look, there's a person that knows Crystal Reports. So when I go here, I can click that, or I can click on people, but I see it here. I could then see here's my organization, files, email, LinkedIn, contact, show more contact information. Usually it shows files. Oh, this is so, hold on a second, organization. I want to go to my profile. Okay, that's on my profile. Anyway, so let me show when you're looking for someone. If I put on people and go to my profile, here it goes. Yeah, this is better.
And Vic, I'm just going to interrupt you 1 second to tell our listeners that we probably have realistically 15 more minutes to go. And so we want to respect your time. Of course, you are all going to get the recording. We want you to stay on. We want you to continue communicating with us. I mean, we're in this, we're going. So just know that it's probably, we have about 15 minutes. Do you think, Vic, that's 15 to 20 minutes max? Okay.
Yes,
so
yes, absolutely. Thanks.
Carry on.
Okay. Thank you. So I found it's under the contact tab. They just changed it. So there's contact tab. And down here it says I started my training in 1997, skills and expertise, Crystal Reports, DBA, relational databases, business intelligence. So I just put some things down there, just something unique. But let me show you where you would do that on your profile. In the top right-hand corner is your avatar, and then you would say Office Profile. So if you are looking for things to do, like I need more work, put in what you want people to ask about, and then do like a quick tutorial like this. Say, hey, we need to rely on each other. If you need help on a project, let me know. So this is my profile. It's taking way too long. So typically click, okay, update profile, click here. And then this is where you put about me. Here are some projects. So this is a great time for you to update your profile at work. Here are some projects, like if you worked on the Academy 1.5 project, put all the projects that you've worked on. Here's your skills and expertise. You can also ask me about blah, blah, blah. If there is something that you really don't like doing, do not include it in here. So for instance, if I do not like digital marketing or whatever, I wouldn't put digital marketing on here. So that's where this is. So just hunt around there for your profile to add your expertise, so that people can give you more work, and you can be more busy. You can be busier, and not only that, raise your profile within the organization. Some people were asking about apps. The two things that people were asking about was, how do I project my laptop to the TV, because I need to be able to see on a bigger screen, And then what are the apps for scanning paper, like business cards and paper, to make it digital so I can share it with the screen, share it with my colleagues. So to share your laptop with your TV, and this is just a Windows one. All you need to do is you needed some sort of adapter, whether you use a Mac or PC, some sort of adapter. This connects to the TV. So this would go into HDMI 4 slot on your TV. And that plugs into the USB slot on your TV. Once you get that, you click on the bottom right hand, you connect that to your TV. Do not connect it to your laptop. You come down here to the bottom right hand corner and it says connect. I don't think I'm connected, but then it would show the Microsoft adapter here and you click it and then it projects to that particular screen. So there's that question answered. And somebody else about scanners. If you guys don't have Office Lens on your mobile app, download it ASAP. Office Lens allows you to scan documents, photos, business cards, and whiteboards. And once you scan a business card, it goes into OneNote. Here is an example. This is my Microsoft business card when I worked there a long time ago. And in OneNote, I could double click a little business card that it scanned in for me. And then it opens up an Outlook contact and I hit save and close. And now it just drops. I would clean it up if I have to, and then hit save and close and it moves into my Outlook. So I wanted to address those two. Sorry, I'm rushing here. And staying relevant. My biggest thing for staying relevant is that if you can go get your certification, now's the time. If you have a lot of downtime, go pursue your Microsoft Office Specialist certification. I'm going to be having a free webinar. I was going to be May, but I'll probably have it in April, sooner than later, so that we can all start getting more certifications, like passing those exams. My only issue is I don't think some of the testing centers are open, but that shouldn't prevent you from studying for your exams. So once they are open, all you have to do is take one more assessment test using Gmetrics prep software, so I can help you do that. But try to attend as much free stuff, low-cost stuff as possible. Host a lunch and learn. Ask each other, like, what tech skills do you want? Like, do a 15-minute, 30-minute lunch and learn, virtual lunch and learn on Teams or G Suite or whatever you're using, Zoom. Do a virtual lunch and learn so that you all are teaching each other during this downtime and you all are gaining skills. So those are my suggestions on staying relevant. And I think we are going to move to Q&A. If there are any questions or any questions that people have for us in the few minutes we have together. Colleen, is there anything standing out to you that we absolutely need to address today?
One of the main questions is how to communicate with an executive, whether it's a new executive they're trying to build that relationship with, or a less communicative executive that they're struggling to stay in contact with.
Yeah, it is about being proactive in pursuing it. I urge you to use face-to-face, like Zoom or Teams, WebEx, whatever vehicle platform that you can. It is about asking for it. Every leadership expert I follow urges staff to speak truth to power. And this situation is calling for extraordinary tactics. And so there's no reason to not be polite and courteous, et cetera, and certainly respectful, but be direct and be clear on giving the context about why you need the information. Gary, that's why Vickie and I wanted Gary Rabine on this call, is because we wanted the assistants of the world to hear straight from a CEO that the leaders of the world need you to speak up and to say what it is you need. In my classes, at the Ultimate Assistant, I often say that assistants often know better than your leaders about what's needed. And right now, your perspective is critically needed. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that because, you know, Colleen and I we just started working together in January. She is super tech savvy. She's, she doesn't need a lot of support from me working from home, but that is my assumption. So the only way for me to know if anything's wrong or if she needs more from me is for her to tell me. Similar to my relationship with my kids, I don't know. I assume everything's fine, and until they tell me, "Mom, I'm being bullied at school," which they're not, luckily. But I can't assume they're being bullied at school. Just ask them. They're gonna have to tell me. So
Right.
I think that I'm open to that as a leader and with an assistant, that I always invite Colleen to say, "Hey, I need more. I need to meet with you once a day. I need you to respond faster, or I'm getting too many emails from you," or whatever. Like, we have to communicate that way. Otherwise, I don't know anything's wrong.
Right. And I love the magic question. Can we give this a try? If you don't already have access to your executive's inbox, you can reveal the reason why you should have it, and to say, hey, could we give it a try for a couple of weeks, for a month? Let's see how it works. How about I answer those kinds of emails? It's proactive behaviors like that, which are set up for success, for the partnership. It is about thinking of this as a partnership and ways of working as we move forward in this very wacko situation to do things better. And that's the reason to address it with your leaders, is that I'm looking to make us work more efficiently and more effectively and better. And maybe this means 10 minutes at a certain time of day that needs a commitment from both of you.
Yeah. And I also, Bonnie, you talk about this a lot, like find out what their pain is. So my pain, and Colleen knows this and Bonnie knows this, is I need to be cloned. So if Colleen came to me and says, "Hey, I have another way we can clone you, and that's for you to give me X, Y, and Z projects," that is totally realistic, because she knows my pain is how do we scale this, and how do we get to the point where we're teaching as many people as possible who need help. She's two of us right now that are teaching, both she and I, and so how do we scale this and clone ourselves? So
Yeah,
I'm just an idea that I'm open to that. So if you know what their pain is,
yeah,
the priority is start with that.
right. And one of the best ways to know that is to get into their inbox. So we should move on.
Mm-hmm.
Colleen?
So both of you ladies are experts at this. We have a lot of people who are working from home for the very first time, and they're asking about how to best physically set up a home office when they don't have a dedicated room, when they have kids and a husband at home. What should they think about?
Okay.
For me, multiple monitors. Like I need multiple monitors, number one. But I don't know if that's easy.
Yeah, two monitors is great. But if you're limited on space, I mean, I've seen I know a lot of people in New York City they have turned closets into an office. It's about finding some corner. I mean, I'm a person who turns my window seat in an airplane into my office for however long I'm on an airplane. So I'm pretty practiced at this. My goal is, and I know assistants all over will laugh at this, but I want everything crucial within arm's length of me. And that's the criteria, that I want to be able to sit in my control seat and organize my life from there. So I hope that you can find some corner, some inviolable place that you can call your own and that people will know is off limits. Because that's what you need to do, is that when you go back to it, you want to make sure that no one is invading the space and touching things. And so then, where is it? That kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think some sort of signal, like whenever I do webinars, I post something outside on my front door that says live webinar in progress, do not knock or ring doorbell. And so you can also do that if you are working in your bedroom or room. you could put something on your door saying, please do not disturb until 2 p.m. or, working until whatever. So come up with some sort of communication process with your family that this needs to be structured work time and uninterrupted work time. And whatever that is, it could be a jacket on your chair if you're at the kitchen table. Like if that jacket's on the chair, that means I need to dedicate this time to work, whatever that is.
Right. Yeah. Robert and I live together, and we have meetings. We'll have a meeting on a Sunday just to talk about the week ahead, and to, so who's ever in your home, you can have like this division of labor. It really becomes becomes an office, and everybody has a role to play. So I would cut yourself a break though. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Our friend Helen Monument says, involve your kids in creating your special workspace. Make it a game. I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Kelly says we have whiteboards on some of our doors in the house so we can write messages and let each other know what's going on. And Lauren says, today is my first day working from home. I sat at the kitchen table. It worked while the teens were still sleeping, but it's difficult now. I'll have to have a different setup going forward. So if you do have if all of you have a response, or any of you have a response, keep sending them to us, and we'll compile all these ideas. And
right.
All documents. Awesome. Good idea. So Bonnie,
just one last thought on that.
Go ahead.
Just one last quick thought on that is that, I've talked to a lot of assistants who say that their executives are coming right out and saying that they understand, like, let's just understand that there are going to be some dogs in the background and some kids running around, and we're just going to have to be okay with that for a while. So we're not going to be able to replicate what happened at the office in our homes, at least not right away. So I think we can just hopefully set that as an expectation with our teams that, I may have to take a break, or I'm expecting an urgent delivery, so I'm going to have to answer the door for food or prescriptions, whatever. We're in a new situation here, so we've got to cut each other a break. Thanks, Vic.
Yeah, this kind of circles back to your handwriting exercise. Like, we all have to cut each other some slack if we're all writing with the opposite hand. Like, the entire world. This has never happened where the entire world is writing with the opposite hand.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So,
true story.
Do we want to talk? We're going to post up the websites again. Essentially, if you go to any one of these websites /coronavirus, it will take you to their dedicated page for World Health Organization, FDA, CDC, and Homeland Security. So just go whatever their main website is /coronavirus, and we'll have all the details for you. Bonnie, you have a really cool way
oh my
to get
gosh.
additional facts.
Yeah, I was listening to an interview yesterday with Jeannie Romanetti, who's the CEO of IBM, and she was saying how, and this is an IBM product that she urged people to go to their smartphones and go to a browser and open up weather.com. And Vic, you want to tell us what how it works, please?
Yeah, so it's not the weather app that comes on your phone. It is, you either have to download the weather.com app, or on your browser on your phone, go to weather.com. And at the very bottom of that page, whether you're in the app or the browser, you'll see the COVID-19. When you click on that, there's this awesome page that will take you, like, this was my current, so there are 22 confirmed cases where I live. You can use the search tools. There's two spots here to search. So I typed in New York because that's the biggest cluster now in the United States. And last night, this was yesterday afternoon, it's up to almost 3,200. And when you click on that, when you put in your city, you can then scroll. It gives you additional data, and so you can compare day by day in the incidence map. So that's a huge resource. I love that. I've been checking it since you told me.
Yeah. So if you want to check on people in other parts of the country, it doesn't work internationally. We tried that, but it's for America.
Yes. Donna, you says, can we send the slide deck? We can certainly send the slide deck, and we'll follow up with all that stuff. So let me give you some next steps before I turn it over to Bonnie to close this out. Definitely connect with us on LinkedIn, and we'll make sure we'll email you guys with all. I think in the email that you're going to get from us, for thanking you for attending the webinar, not only will it have the replay, but it will have our LinkedIn account. If you have any job openings or know of any job openings, whether they're local, physically local, but that's not really the case now, or virtual, post on LinkedIn and tag us both. We'll send out the replay. This is all being recorded. We'll send out the replay and the email to you as an attendee, and then anyone who registered but did not attend will also get that. Feel free to share the webinar. We'll be posting it on YouTube as well. So, question is, shall we have another session? So, if you want us to have another session, in fact, if you'll raise your hand, if you think we should have another one to address more questions, raise your hand right now, just so we can get an idea if this was helpful, and then we'll take that into consideration. Because we may need to have this weekly. I don't know, every other week. We have no idea. So we're happy to do this. And just let us know, reach out, how can we support your team, whether you need training, morale training, soft skills training, or tech training. We're happy to help figure that out. Okay, Bonnie, back to you.
All right, folks. I want to thank everyone who joined us today for this webinar. I want to thank our team, Robert Sanders, Colleen Dunn, Jen Wilner, all supporting us from various parts of our country. We are in a very extreme situation right now, and what we want is for no one to feel that you have to invent the wheel. No one has to do that. We need to use one another, and nobody has to go at this alone. So please reach out to us. Vickie and I are so serious about that. We want to minimize the angst and the stress and the frustrations that are going to inevitably be caused by the situation. But please, please, please speak up to your leaders and your peers about what it is you need. I want to end by thanking you, Vickie, so much. You are brilliant, and I'm so grateful for the information that you share with our students and with our audiences. There's so much to know technically and we thank you. Please stay healthy so that you can continue sharing all this information.
Thank you, Bonnie.
That which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. This line from the film Olympia starred in, she's down in that bottom row center next to Julia Roberts from Steel Magnolias. It's true. We are going to come out of this stronger than we started out as. We're going to be changed, though. There's no way that this situation cannot change us, but we will be better if we stick together. The situation does have the potential to divide us, and we need to decide not to let that happen. That we know we're so much better when we collaborate, when we cooperate, when we partner with each other. So I leave you with that thought, and to when you're faced with someone who's acting out or stressed out, let's cut people breaks. Let's give a rest to the judgments, and to understand that stress impacts people in all kinds of ways. We don't know what really they're dealing with. So I wish you peace. I wish you health, and stay safe. Vickie and I will be in touch. Vic, let's finish this out.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's an honor to always to collaborate with you and to be by your side during this and all of the programs that we've done. I can't imagine my life without you. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This concludes today's session. We so appreciate your time and staying late with us. This concludes today's session. You may now disconnect from the call. Bye, everyone. Bye, Bon.
Okay. Bye, Vic. Bye, everyone.